Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video you guys will learn how to make a texture from scratch so you can start selling your textures just like me. And now you guys must be wondering, where do I sell my textures? Well, I sell my textures on my Patreon. So if you guys want to check out my Patreon, just under curiosity guys, please check out my Patreon. For $5 a month, you guys will be getting all my final renders, all my finished file on this YouTube channel. And please, just under curiosity, also check out my Patreon. Please, it would be greatly appreciated if you guys do check out my Patreon. It's just $5 a month. You'll be getting unlimited access to a lot of things. I'm also going to be releasing a course on my Patreon soon, so yeah. Anyways, so the things that we're going to be using today to make a texture are Gimp. We'll be using Gimp. We'll be using Blender as our 3D software. And we'll be using something called materialize. Now I'll link them all in the description down below if you guys want to download them. So yeah. So the texture that we're going to be making today is this right here. So this black wood picture. Now if you guys want this picture, you have to be on my Patreon. If you are on my Patreon, then you'll be getting this picture for free. So it's not technically free. You guys have to give me a few bucks, like $5. But you'll be getting a lot of things, guys. Don't worry. And you'll be also getting this texture asset folder, the folder that we're going to be using today to make our texture. Now you can use any image. For example, you can go into the web and search wood texture. For example, you can go to the web. So you can go into the web and search black wood, and a result like this should come up. But if you're on my Patreon, like I said, you'll be getting this image for $5 a month. You'll be getting unlimited stuff. So again, go check out my Patreon. So once you have this nature asset folder, the texture asset folder, sorry, you can start with today's tutorial. So the first thing we want to do is we want to load up this software called Gimp. Now I'm using the latest version of Gimp, and Gimp is an image manipulation software that we're going to be using today to make our textures. So let's click on it and hit open. So I'll link it in the description down below. It's gimp.org. You can download it for free. It's in free open source software. So yeah, once you have launched it up, let's hit F11 to zoom inside of Gimp. So you'll be brought with a canvas like this. Not exactly like this, but similarly to like this. So we're going to be using this canvas right here to edit our picture. So how do we get started on it? So the first thing you want to do is go to File, and you want to hit New. Now you'll be brought with this template manager right here, create a new image template manager. Now there's tons of great templates that you can go through, and they're all pretty great templates, but the one that I'm going to use is a customized one. So I'm going to use an 800 by 800 with texture. Now the texture we're going to be making is going to be seamless, and it's going to be pretty cool. So yeah, just don't worry about the size too much. So let's go for 800 by 800 and hit OK. And you can see we have a white background. Just in case if you don't have a white background, you can go to your color and make it white, and then hit Shift B to open the bucket fill tool and just fill it with white color. It's as simple as that. So let's go back into our selection tool. So to add an image inside of Gimp, you could import it, but the way I find it more convenient is hitting the Windows key, then going to your folders, and then just locating your thing. So in my case, it's going to be desktop. It's going to be inside of my texture asset folder and the blackwood. Remember, if you're on my Patreon, you'll be getting this picture. So let's just take it and put it inside of Gimp. So let's go back into Gimp. Put it in here, and you can see a menu should pop up like this. So just hit convert, and you'll have an image just like this. Now you can see the parameters of this image. They're pretty great. So cool. Now you can delete the background, so let's just right click and hit delete layer. The reason why we needed the background is to set up a transparent background behind our image. So if I just hide this, you can see a transparent background is created. Right, so the first thing we want to do is add some blur to our texture. So the way you can do this is go to Filters, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Click on Gaussian Blur, and you can see that's way too much blur on our image, so you can turn it down, and the value I'm going to be using is 0.77. 0.70. Okay, let's try 1.70. Sorry, 0.70. So let's try 0.70 and see if it works. And you can see that our blur is now lesser. Cool. Now we can turn up our filter type as well to something, but where did that go? Sorry. Repeat collision blur. So now you can see our image is a little bit blur. Now the reason why we want to put the blur on our picture is that it works better if it's a little bit blurred for some reason. Now I've experimented it with it a little bit, and I find that if it's blur, it works a little bit better. So yeah. Now I want to go back to filters, and we want to add some map. So click on the map thing here, and click on bump map. So if we hit bump map, this menu should come up. Now you can choose what you want, but I think every settings that is default is best. So let's hit OK, and our bump map is added to our texture. So let's go back into our filters. Let's go back into map, and let's add a little seamless map. Now the reason why we want a seamless map is like when you're having a big scene, say like a big field, your texture won't tile properly. So to make it tile, you want to add a seamless tile. So if I hit OK, this is now a seamless tile. So now we want to export this image, and the way you can export it is by hitting File, Export, and then you can choose a directory. So in my case, it's going to be desktop, texture asset, and we just want to export it here. And now you can name this anything. Now I'm going to name this Black Wood Edit.png. So now this is the Blackwood edited version of it. So we can just hit enter, and this menu should come up, like export as PNG menu. Just hit export on it, and an exporting menu should come up, and bam, your image is exported. So that's all you need to do with Gimp. Now you can hit the Windows key and bring this up and close the window. And now this menu should give you a warning. Now if you want, you can save this, but I don't want to save this project. I'm just going to hit discard changes. So you can see that we have an edited picture of our wood, and this is the difference between before and after work. So we've edited our picture nicely. Now we want to quickly go to our software called Materialize. We want to go to a software called Materialize. Now this software will allow us to create our normal map, bump map, and displacement map and stuff like that. For an example, if I go to my Windows and quickly show you guys an example, you can see here these maps right here I've created: the AO, the diffuse, the smoothness, the normal, and the smoothness map and the height map. The way I created them is through Materialize. And now Materialize is a free software, but it's a little bit glitchy because it's still under development. But trust me guys, it's an amazing software. I'll link it in the description down below. So let's right click on it and hit open. And it's a great software, but it's still under development. But it's like beyond anything I've seen. So if you want to see the controls of Materialize, you can just hit controls and start seeing what the controls are. The basic controls are by hitting the middle mouse button, you can pan around. And by hitting the right click button, you can just like rotate. And by hitting shift right click, you can start panning around. I mean, by middle mouse button, you can start panning around like this. So it's really easy controls. I really think they're easy. And if you don't like the HDRI of the background, you can just hit next cube map, and that should change the HDRI. Now I really like this HDRI, but my favorite one is this one. So the first thing we want to do is create a diffuse map. So to create a diffuse map, you need to hit the O button, and once you're here, you need to locate your texture that we did in Gimp. So in this case, it's going to be on my desktop, texture asset, and you can see Blackwood Edit. So I want to click on it and hit select. And you can see it's loaded into our canvas. So it's looking really good. Now the next thing we want to make is the height map. So to create the height map, you want to hit the O button or the create button. So most of the time you just want to hit the create button. Once you hit the create button, the slider thing should come. So just turn the slider thing all the way down so you can see the whole height map. Now, I don't really mess with these equalizers and stuff because I find them really complicated to work with. But the way you can use this, the way you can make it perfect is that you can go to your presets and choose which one you like. So in my case, I want details and I want some cracks on it, and that's it. And then we can hit set as height map, and our height map is created. The next thing we want to do is go to our normal map and hit create, and a normal map is created. Again, going to the presets, I'm going to choose smooth. So a smooth map is created, our smooth normal map. So let's hit create. Oops. Let's quickly choose this, and let's hit set as normal map. Then let's create a smoothness map. Now I just usually skip the metallic map because I find it's not too necessary. So I just go to the smoothness map, which is technically the roughness map, and hit create. And again, turn the slider all the way down and just set it as the smoothness map. Then we have the edge map, which I find not necessary, but the AO map is really necessary. So let's hit create and just set it as the AO map. Now we've created all our maps together, and all of these maps that I've created right here will be available on my Patreon. So again, go check out my Patreon. I'll keep saying it just under curiosity. Just check out my Patreon. It's necessary, guys. Go check it out. So once you have all these files made, instead of the file format being BMP, change it to TIFF. I find TIFF the most convenient one, and it's the best type of way to export your textures. So let's just hit TIFF. And if you guys want to see how your map would look on a shape, like a 3D shape, you can easily go to show full material, and a full render of this should show to you. You can see how pretty it looks, and if you want, you can hit the cube, and you can see how it will look on a cube. If you want, you can hit cylinder, and you can see how it will look on a cylinder. If you want, you can hit a sphere, and you can see how it will look on a sphere, and you can hit a plane, and you can see how it will look on a plane. So, yeah, I'm going to stick to cube for now because it looks a good example. And last but not least, you can just hit save project. And then this menu should pop up. Just go to your folder, so it's desktop, texture assets, click on it, and hit select. Now you just want to quickly name this or something like that. But in this case, I think it's not necessary to name this. So let's go back to this. So let's quickly name this textures and select it. And we're done. So let's just minimize this app, refresh our PC, then go to our texture asset folder, and you can see we have all our textures put into our PC. So we have the AO map, we have the diffuse original, we have the height map, we have the normal map, and we have the smoothness map. So now let's put this in our 3D software. So let's quickly close this thing off, and let's load up Blender. Now remember, you can get this stuff on my Patreon. So let's hit Blender now, load up Blender, and once Blender is loaded up, I'm just going to quickly delete our default scene by AX delete, and I'm going to hit add mesh plane. Now I'm going to hit S to scale and make it 5. I think that's a pretty good size. Now with the size done, I'm just going to close up the timeline and open up a shader editor. Now you can do this in the shading tab, but I find shader editor is really easy to use. So let's give this a plane, a new material, and I'm going to name this material something simple like black wood colon texture. So I'm just going to name this blackwood texture, and I find that name too good. And once we have a principal BSDF node and a material output node set up, we can add a image texture into our scene, and we can put it onto our base color, and you can see nothing happens, but wait for it. Now let's add a mapping node and put it into the vector of our image texture. Then let's add a texture coordinate node and put the UV map onto the vector. Now let's quickly go to our rendered view mode and change to cycles and quickly add a light source, a sun lamp. So let's go to light, sun, let's grab it to the top, a little bit like that, and let's quickly turn off our outlines quickly, so none outlines are coming into our scene. Let's go select the texture and hit open on our image texture. Then let's quickly locate our texture. So let's go to desktop and texture asset. So I want you to select the first texture, which would be our diffuse original. Select it and hit open image. And yay, congratulations, you have loaded your first ever texture. Now the second texture that we want to add is our smoothness map. So let's go back in here, desktop, texture asset, and smoothness. Set it to non-color data. Always change the color space to non-color data and put it into our roughness. And you can see already the difference with the roughness and without the roughness. There's a lot of difference coming in both with and without. The next texture that we want to add is a normal map. So let's add an image texture. Again, open it, go to our desktop, texture asset, and our normal map, normal TIFF file, set it to non-color data, apply a normal map node, and set it to UV coordinates, and put the color in here and the normal in there. And you can see that we have some detail now. So we can turn up down the detail to 0.8 as I find that more better. Now let's quickly add a bump node and put it in there. Set the strength to a little bit lower, like 0.7, 0.7 for both. And then let's add another image texture and put it inside of this. So again, desktop and texture asset and our height node. Set it to non-color again. Make sure you always set it to non-color and put it into the height. And you can already see some sparkles coming in here. And a way to fix this is add a color ramp node to our smoothness map and start tweaking it. And you can see they're gone. Nice! You can set it to a higher value depending if you get more. So I think now no, there's not gone. Now they're gone. Cool. They're still having some more. Let's see if they go away now. Come on, go. Okay, let's do the white instead. Okay, well, you know what? We'll set the black high, and then we'll set the value here to 0.5. Whoa, the distance is too high. Okay, we'll set this to something lower. Is that better? We're still having some white sprinkles, so you can play around with it a little bit. So let's just play around with it till we find something more better. Alright, so what I've done to fix it is that I just swapped the black and white with each other. So that should fix your problem pretty good. Right, so just switch around the black and white and your problem should be resolved. So you can see there's too many sprinkles, so if you switch around the black and white, our problem is resolved. So cool, now we have some difference going on. Now the last node that we want to add is a AO node, so let's just add a mix RGB node. Put it onto our main texture, set it to multiply, add another image texture, open it up, again, locate your directory, and use the AO map. Set it to non-color data, and put it onto the bottom value. And set the value to 0.6. Not 6,000, 0.6. And now you can probably play around a little bit with your color ramp node as well, if you don't like certain things that you see, maybe. So you can play around with your color ramp node. So if you don't like certain things, you can see that we are having too much brightness. You can just play around with certain things. So I like this pretty much. It's looking really great. And here we have a full and finished wood texture made scratch by our hard work. Right, let's put this on a good view. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Subscribe if brand new. And I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.